Hi, my name is Ozioma Chukwuma Sarah. I've just completed the One Young World Academy series on official development assistance. And I just want to say a very big thank you to the organizers. I want to say a big thank you to all the speakers. I really enjoyed every bit of this academy series. And my one takeaway point would be to keep telling the story of what aid is doing, keep telling the story of what development and aid is accomplishing in parts of the world where they are most needed. And I take this as my one takeaway point because when I reflect on my journey as a youth ambassador with the One campaign, I meet with a lot of decision makers in the UK. And when I meet decision makers and I want to talk to them about aid, I always emphasize on my story. I always emphasize on how much aid has done. I mean, I reflect on my own life. And while growing up, I didn't have access to all the vaccines that I needed. And last July, I was speaking with my MP here in the UK in York, and I was trying to speak to her about the UK's support for Gavi and how important Gavi is. And I really enjoyed that conversation, and I could see some lack of hope in Gavi coming from my MP because she was like, for so long we have supported Gavi, the UK has supported Gavi, and how when are developing countries going to be able to stand on their own to be able to have these vaccines without us investing so much? And I said to her, I am so grateful that the UK has been supporting Gavi. And while I used my experience as a child, I didn't have access to all the vaccines that I needed. But as soon as Gavi came into play by the 2000s, all my younger siblings and all the children who grew up in my community since 2000 have had access to vaccines, and these are some of the impactful stories of what aid can do, of what development can do. And then I went on to give her examples of countries like South Korea, who used to be a donor, we used to be a recipient, but now is a donor. So these stories that we tell restore hope in aid and development. The stories that we tell are able to capture the audience that we need. They are able to fight against populism that are trying to cut down on aid. Now, another thing I want to talk about is youth engagement. Youth engagement is really important. I think of myself as a good example. I would say I feel like based on my experience, I'm able to bring in fresh perspective. I have a doggedness that cannot be cut down. I take advocacy to the next level. I'm very creative with my advocacy. One of my campaigns was based on getting the UK government to try and increase their budget for foreign aid and to try to ensure that the allocated budget for foreign aid wasn't used to solve domestic issues like refugee crisis here in the UK. So what did I do as a creative young person? I I invited members of my community. I was like, "Oh, all right, come on, we're going to have a barbecue." And when they came, we played games, had some very nice time as young people, and then I sat people down and then I started educating them. I said, aid is important. We need to speak up, especially if we are given the opportunity to be in places, to be in countries where we can actually reach decision makers. And I was able to, from what started off as a barbecue party, I was able to turn it into something that could inspire people. And we wrote letters to our MPs, and these are what young people can do. Allow young people to be involved in aid and development, and you'd definitely see a turnaround. And the last thing, based on my experiences, I would say that I will continue telling my story. I will continue speaking up where it matters. I will not shy away. I will use my doggedness as a young person to speak up to things that are important. And my experience as a youth ambassador with the One campaign, I've been able to speak to decision makers like the MPs. I've been able to attend parliamentary events, to organize campaigns, rally, outside the parliament. I've also had direct correspondence from the House of Commons, and these and many more I look forward to doing. Thank you.